In 17th century Europe, it was extremely effective contraceptive. However, they had so much sex that the plant actually went extinct. 16-year-old Thomas Granger was the first person executed in the US when he was hanged at Plymouth in 1642. His crime? Having sex with a horse, cow, sheep, 2 goats, 2 calves, and a turkey. I guess pilgrims did a little more than just eat the turkey on Thanksgiving.
Japanese urban legend, The Cursed Poem. The poem is called Tomino's Hell. Released in 1919, rumor has it that if you read the poem out loud, you will either die or your soul will suffer internally in hell. Saijo Yaso was the mastermind behind this dark, eerie poem. Saijo was a known Japanese poet who worked on children's nursery rhymes and popular song lyrics. Possible inspiration behind Tomino's Hell was that it was created when Saijo was 27 years old. It came from experiencing a great loss of his father or sister. There's actually a vast amount of information about this cursed poem. There have been multiple reported incidents regarding the poem, and one was the death of director Shuji Terayama. Shuji created a film inspired by the poem. The movie was called Tenen ni Shisu, also known as Pastoral Hide and Seek. A few years later, after the movie was released in 1974, Shuji passed away. Some believe that it was the poem that killed him. In another case, a female college student died a week after reading the poem out loud in a daring prank. Other cases include illnesses, car wrecks, and the feeling of an evil presence lingering around. The meaning behind the poem is still a mystery. Two well-known interpretations is that Tomino murdered his parents and is now suffering in the Buddhist hell, or the author is symbolically describing the feeling of his survivor's guilt after the passing of his sister or father. Okay, so guys, here's the poem if you wanna read it. Why would you wanna? Okay, I'm not going to read it, okay? I'm not going to get cursed and killed by a poem. I am not going to go out like that. Bye. But you still can read it if you want to.
What's a scam that's become so normalized that we don't even realize it's a scam anymore?
Public education as a whole, let me explain. So there's a man named J.D. Rockefeller who created the public education system as we know it. Back in the day, there used to be something called the agrarian age, where everybody owned their own business. They owned their own farm. And people would go to school for about an hour or two every week at their local church. That's why they called it Sunday school. You'd go to school and you'd learn how to read and write couple hours a week. That was all. They did some research to find out how to indoctrinate a nation. The research that they discovered said 12 years. That's how long it takes for people to normalize everything that's been happening. So they made school 12 years long. They made school 5 days long a week with a bell for recess and a bell for lunch to condition people for factory work. The grading system itself was a communication to your future employers. If you got an A, you'd be a good employee. And if you got an F, you'd be a very bad employee. When asked about the curriculum, around what the heck they were going to teach kids for 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, for 12 years of life, because they'd know how to read and write within a couple of years. Their answer was, teach them everything about nothing. That's why you graduated with SOHCAHTOA and A squared plus B squared equals C squared and the periodic table, and yet you're not familiar with your own system of government, you're not familiar with how to file your taxes, you're not familiar with basic life skills like conflict resolution, how to implement boundaries, budgeting, all those things that would really help you in life. So, public education.
3 urban legends that turned out to be true. Number 1. In the 1980s, parents in Long Island terrified their children with the legend of Cropsey. He was a murderous man who lived beneath an abandoned school and would capture children. But it was later found that the old janitor of the school was still living on school grounds, and it's believed he was responsible for the disappearance of several kids, which made the legend of Cropsey true. Number 2. Charlie No Face was the terrifying legend of a featureless man who would roam the streets of Pittsburgh at night. night. But it was discovered that this man did exist. His name was Raymond Robinson. He was a very nice guy, and he only left his house at night as he feared his deformity would scare people. Number 3. Legend has it that an escaped asylum patient roams near the Fairfax County Bridge where countless amounts of dead rabbits have been found. There wasn't any legitimacy to this legend until a couple drove through this bridge in the 1970s only to find a man dressed as a bunny who threw an axe through their windshield before they got away.
Creepy facts you wish you never knew. When you buy rice, you're supposed to soak it because they contain rice weevils that most of you have been eating and never knew. Studies show that people who stay up late and get up late are more likely to become psychopaths. Heartbreak is a real thing known as heartbreak syndrome, and it has symptoms similar to a heart attack, meaning some people pass away from a broken heart. Lack of sleep actually shrinks.
Japanese urban legend, Daruma-san. To play this game, you must fill the bathtub at night between 1 to 3 a.m. and turn all the lights off. Then, sit in the bathtub facing the faucet. Then close your eyes and wash your hair, repeating. While you are washing your hair, you must repeat these words. Daruma-san fell down. Daruma-san fell down. Keep repeating them until you have done washing your hair. If you hear any noise, do not open your eyes. If you have done this correctly, you will see an image of a Japanese woman standing in the bathtub. She will fall face forward on a tap, making her eyes pop out. You will then ask, "Why did you fall in the bathtub?" Then you wait for 10 seconds and leave the bathroom, closing the door behind. You can then open your eyes and go to sleep until morning. As soon as you wake up, the game starts. You will feel a presence following you. Looking to your right, you will see her 4S split. Second, her hair is black and tangled and one of her eyes are missing. She will continue to follow you around to get closer. If you catch her really close, you must swing your hand in a chopping motion and shout, "Kita," meaning cut you loose. If this is done correctly, this means you have won the game. The prize she gives is good luck. But if you lose, she will kill or possess you.
Look at your M closely. There's a gap right here in the letter M. It's never connected. So you go into Hebrew. The letter Vav is also the number 6. Short top, long tail. Short top, long tail. You could have here in Hebrew 666 on the can. But my interest is the word monster. What do you see in the O? There's a cross.
Okay.
What has Christ got to do with an energy drink, let alone the name Monster? So I thought, well, maybe this is a Christian company then. BFC at the bottom of the can. Do you know what that stands for? That's the F word. Big can. In fact, they write it on the side of the can, so I know that's the F word.
Okay.
Now, do you know what a MILF is?
Yes.
That's on the box. MILFs dig it, and you will too. This is not a Christian company at all. So why would they have put a cross on the can? Here is the message. Antichrist. 666 in Hebrew, and then the Bible talks about the beast in Revelation. And look at Monster's ad. This is their statement. You see these M's everywhere. Hats, t-shirts, bumper stickers. Is there another agenda here? If God can use people and product, so can Satan. And look at it this way. Even if the M was not the issue, you cannot deny that that is a cross. And what is witchcraft? When the cross goes upside down. Bottoms up. And the devil laughs. Something to think about.
Wow.
This is how clever Satan is.
To be the worst death imaginable. This was the entrance to the Nutty Putty Cave in Utah. It was known for its extremely narrow passageways, having a length of approximately 1,355 feet, and it was about 145 feet deep. A lot of thrill seekers would go through this narrow cave, but one man met his fate. That man's name was John Edward Jones, who was recently married and a father of one, his wife being pregnant with their second child. John was a kind soul. Everybody loved him. He had a bright sense of humor, and he took care of his daughter. He loved her very much. But sadly, he wouldn't get the chance to see his daughter grow up. At 8 p.m. on November 24, 2009, John and 9 of his friends decided to go enter the Nutty Putty Cave. Everything was going smooth for roughly an hour. They had made it so far in the cave, and they could have stopped. But John wanted to up the challenge and try going through a really narrow section called the birth canal. Unfortunately for him, he decided to be the first one out of the group to go. But it turns out he might have not entered the birth canal, but instead he accidentally entered a section of the cave called Ed's Push, a passageway that led to nowhere. But he kept pushing forward, inch by inch, until he couldn't go anymore. He had gotten stuck on part of the tunnel that was bent downward, leading him to be upside down. The area was about the size of an opening of a small washing machine, while John was about 6 feet and 200 pounds. John was stuck. He was 100 feet below the ground. His friends tried and tried, but they couldn't get him out. As much as John tried to wiggle, nothing happened. He couldn't budge. Every time the friends thought they were getting him out, he just slid in more. A rescue team was soon called in, and when they finally reached John, he said, "Thank you, but I would really like to get out of here." As the rescuers were able to see John's feet, they tried everything from oiling and lubing up the walls. They even tried drilling through the rock and hooking him up to contraptions to try and tug him out, and still nothing. At one point, they were able to pull him back up several feet, but the rope broke and he slid right back down. After 10 hours of suffering and being stuck upside down, John sadly died. Leaving behind his wife and kids, they had no choice but to seal up the passageway with John's body still stuck inside till this day. There's a memorial now sitting there for him, and that's not all. His wife has since moved on to a new man, but she will always remember the man who she shares 2 children with. Rest in peace, John.
Satanic rituals in Call of Duty, one of the most popular games in the world. They just released something called the Dark Rituals Pack, and let me tell you what comes with it. The first thing you get is this dark hood with a satanic pentagram on it and red eyes. Next, you get something called the Ritual Begins. It's an Illuminati keychain you can attach to your gun. Next, you unlock this pentagram design, so you have the design on your gun and a triangle on the back of your gun. And every time you kill someone with a gun in the game, a hologram of the pentagram rises above their body. I mean, there are kids playing this game that don't know what this dark symbolism means, and it's going to be implemented inside their brain. The bullets are a pentagram that turns into a rotating triangle. They're making it to where we cannot escape this dark symbolism. I understand it's a game, but they are trying to normalize this symbolism everywhere we go. It's all over the music industry, and now it's all over the gaming industry, and let me tell you, this is not the only game doing this. Fortnite has way more symbolism, and I'm going to be covering that next video.
Let's talk about this dummy who got her mom eaten by a tiger. Also, guys, today we're gonna be making that burger that you guys keep saying tastes good with pineapple on it. So there's this park in China called the Battling Wildlife. It's like a zoo mixed with a safari. And they have a section in the zoo where you could drive around in your car and actually see the animals, like up close and personal. The only thing is you're supposed to stay in your car. Windows up, it has to be locked. Because they have some wild animals out there like tigers and lions. Answer truthfully, what's better, hot dogs or hamburgers? Comment down below. So this beautiful family decides to go, and they decide to go on a car tour. And out of nowhere, a huge fight breaks out. Mind you, it's a father, a son, a mother, and then her mother, the grandma, in the car. Because of her stank big head attitude, she gets out the car. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Ooh-wee. I wish I had some letters, but it still looks fire. Drizzle some teriyaki on that, you know what I'm saying? As soon as she got out the car with her attitude, a Siberian tiger came up behind her, grabbed her, and dragged her away. Now she kicking and screaming. She don't know what to do. That's what you get. Why did you get out the car? Her mother, of course being worried, gets out the car. Why? It's your daughter. You can make another one. She clearly an airhead. We can do this again. You can raise another. Let's taste this right here. Ooh, the bacon, cheddar. What's up, guys? Keep Leaf here. I'm gonna give that a 10 out of 10. So once the mother gets out, the tiger lets go of the daughter and goes straight after the mother. Ate her. She gone. The daughter gets away, has to recover in the hospital because she was mauled really bad. Rest in peace to the mom, but you know what the daughter does as soon as she recovers? The daughter sues the zoo. And she basically wins because they settle out of court for an undisclosed amount of.
Have you ever seen Elon Musk's full profile picture? That's Baphomet with an inverted cross right on his chest, which is the official symbol of the Church of Satan, and he paid $7,500 for this. And there you can see his mom right next to him, and if you look up his mom, you can see her doing the Illuminati sign everywhere and all this kind of demonic symbolism. And then he tweets this meme out saying, people always ask where is Illuminati, but they never ask how is Illuminati. And apparently if you put a ring of salt around a Tesla, it gets trapped in. If you put a ring of salt around a Tesla, it gets trapped in, you can't drive it. Isn't that what you do for satanic rituals? And now Elon's trying to get the FDA approvals to test his Neuralink into humans. Literally a chip that you plant in your brain and you can download information in your own head, like learning new languages. But I mean, listen to what Elon himself says about AI.
Artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. You know those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, he's sure he can control the demon. Didn't work out.
Mark my words, AI is far more dangerous than nukes.
Creepy facts that will make your skin crawl. Roughly 250,000 deaths are caused by medical errors every year. There is estimated to be 2,000 serial killers currently at large. The chance someone will die on their birthday is 6.7%, which is higher than any other day.
3 innocent home videos with heartbreaking backstories. This seemingly wholesome video is from a wife filming her husband Chris playing with their daughters. Just a few months later, Chris Watts would go on to strangle his wife Shannon and smother their 2 daughters Bella and Cece before disposing of their bodies in oil tanks near his work. This home video shows 2-year-old James Bolger just before he was abducted, tortured, and murdered by 2 10-year-old boys. They grabbed him when his mother wasn't watching, took him to a train track, where his body was found mutilated 2 days later. This footage shows the Sexton family when their children were just toddlers. Over the years following these innocent videos, their father, Eddie Lee Sexton, would marry his daughters, have children with them, and force his sons to murder people.
Let me tell y'all something. If there's one animal in the world you don't want beef with, it's this one. Pop quiz, what's the most vengeful animal on the planet? Anyone? No? By far, it's tigers. Cross a tiger once and you might as well cross yourself off the population. So once upon a time, a hunter shot a tiger in India in like the 1900s or something. The tiger lived, but it broke several of her teeth and pretty much crippled her for life. And I'll tell you one thing, she was not about to let that slide. So you know what she did? That same tiger proceeded to murk 436 people before she was put down herself. From that day until the day she wasn't, she was on a mission. She'd usually go after women or small children while they were feeding livestock or going out for firewood. And when people tried to hunt her down, she would inexplicably avoid them every time. At one point, she crossed the river and proceeded to terrorize the people on that side too. And unlike most tigers, almost everybody she caught was in broad daylight, to the point where grown men were terrified to leave their houses for work. And with a KD ratio of 436 to 1, she had the highest body count of a serial unaliver that wasn't human. And don't think you have to live in Asia for a tiger to want smoke with you. All I'm gonna say is Christmas 2007. If you know, you know. And if you don't, I talk about it here along with a bunch of times animals got revenge and retired somebody from breathing oxygen. Abraham Lincoln biography if you want to see it, but viewer discretion, because
Let's talk about skinwalkers. They are said to be powerful witches and medicine men. They can even change their form to any animal they desire, including humans, but they mainly change into deer, wolves, and coyote. You know, dragon fruit ain't that good. The scary part is they say if you see one, they can steal your face and even your last scream for help. You might think this is like a folklore or a tale. People actually believe these are real. The scary part is there's actual videos of people seeing oddly walking humans screaming help in the middle of nowhere. See, they say skinwalkers pretend to be humans in distress, and if they're calling out for help, they're just trying to lure you in. Ashley. That's when they take your life and use your voice and your look to catch their next gullible victim. A man's wife wasn't even home, but yet somebody was calling him to come downstairs in his wife's voice. If you want me to go out in the middle of the field, at least shapeshift into like Rihanna or Beyonce. I'm making a mess, but this look good. I'll be there in a minute. 30 seconds flat. Naked. Very naked. Maybe even Lizzo. Let's light this can.
Curse games you should never play. Part 30, The Raven Man. This game will give you the opportunity to get your very own servant. Begin at night, ideally on a cloudy, moonless one. Prepare the room that you're going to be playing in by making sure no light gets in. Draw a circle of salt in the middle of the room, but make sure you don't step in it. Then line up 5 candles in front of you. Light the first 4 candles in sequence and call the Raven Man to appear. Then put your own blood on the last candle and light it. As you do so, say the flame is my beacon, the blood is my sacrifice. After you light the 5th candle, the Raven Man will make his appearance known, but he'll be confined to the circle of salt you made in the beginning. You may now ask him whatever you want. If you want information, he'll provide it, or if you want a servant, he'll do whatever you want. But treat him respectfully throughout the whole process. Once you got whatever you were looking for, make sure you thank the Raven Man before ending. And finally, clean up the salt, but do not throw it away. Instead, put it right outside your front door.
Scary facts that will blow your mind, Part 1. The middle of nowhere is an actual place within New Mexico. The legend goes that an elderly couple lived out there with their dog and witnessed many strange and bizarre things. One night, they reported seeing a strange creature that they identified as a skinwalker. After reporting this to the police, the family had vanished under strange circumstances. Their dog, however, was left behind. This is the story that Courage the Cowardly Dog was based off of. Like and follow for more.
Let me tell y'all about the worst animal attack you've never heard of. Sergeant Silvio Delmar Hollenbach was off duty and spending the day at the zoo with his wife and 4 kids, when they heard the commotion of people panicking and screaming hysterically. Apparently, a kid had fallen into the enclosure of one of the most dangerous animals in the entire zoo. Not only were they already highly territorial, but there was a newborn in there, which only made them more aggressive. You want to know what animals those were? Giant river otters. About 20 of them, all surrounding the 13-year-old and very likely about to tear him to shreds. Hollenbach immediately jumped in and managed to lift the already severely injured boy out of the moat and into safety. But before he could get out, the otters caught him and dragged him underwater. Keep in mind these things can be 6 feet long, they clap caiman, and flex on jaguars. Silvio was brutally mauled, suffering over 100 bite wounds, all while his entire family could only watch. He eventually escaped, but the bites and the filthy water meant he passed away 3 days later in a military hospital to infection. The kid he saved grew up and went on to be arrested for embezzling millions, so yeah. He went out a hero, but imagine being an officer and thinking you're gonna end life in the heat of battle, only for a gang of water weasels to put you out. Also, apparently the kid never said thank you, so the real moral of the story, yeah.
When this story's over, you're gonna remember 3